Okay. 230 to 232 and 234 to 238 Hanover Street. Nominee Trust has filed application to the City of Boston Board of Appeals seeking to subdivide the two properties in order to separate the ownership. And I'd like to make a comment. I don't usually do this, but this was already heard by the Board of Appeal on October 4th. And I was very pleased to receive an email from Howard Spicer that although the Board of Appeal heard it before it came in front of the North End Waterfront Neighborhood Council, and although he asked for a deferral and they saw fit not to because they felt this was a pretty simple matter and they wanted to go forward, I'm really pleased and thank you for showing respect to the whole neighborhood process by asking to stay on the agenda for October 12th. Even though we can't vote at this point because it's already a done deal, it's nice to see people in the community working together, businesses and residents, working together on these issues and being respectful of the process. So I thank you as president of this organization for doing that.
Thank you.
So thank you.
And thank you for having me here tonight. My name is Howard Spicer. I'm here representing the owners of 230 to 238 Hanover Street. It's the building on this side of Hanover. It has Il Villaggio restaurant, and then there's two retail stores. There's Filthy Rich is the jewelry store, and there's a clothing store, I think it's called Lit. And those buildings used to be owned by a very nice fellow named Lou Lunetta, who still lives in the building. And he owned the buildings for many years, and a couple of years ago he decided it was time for him to sell it. And it was purchased by Khalid Mohadin, who was the owner of the Il Villaggio restaurant, was a tenant in the building. And he took an partner, Matteo Gallo, to make the purchase financially feasible. So they, Matteo and Khalid bought the building together, but it was always their intention that after they bought it, to basically split it up. The buildings are physically separate with the party wall. They were built separately. They used to be separately owned. But once Lou bought the buildings, the city started to treat it as one parcel. And for Matteo and Khalid to separate the buildings again, that entailed when you just put a property line down the middle, that causes a technical zoning violation. It's really just a technicality because nothing is changing. The ownership will change. They'll be owned as separate parcels again, but there's no change in the use as a result of this application. There's no change in anything physical at the property. There's no construction as a result of any of this. If there's anything that's going to be proposed in the future, it will come back to you as a separate application, if that's going to be the case. But all we sought to do was separate the ownership so that Khalid could own his restaurant and a couple of apartments above his restaurant, and then Matteo will own the building that has the two retail stores and the apartments above that. So that's really all that this entailed. We applied to the city, and because of it, it required zoning variances just because of the technicality of separating the properties. Had to go to the Board of Appeal, and I did ask, as Ms. Frenny said, to get on the agenda of this board, this council, and because it couldn't be arranged till after the Board of Appeal date, I planned to ask for a deferral. I went in and I asked for a deferral. The board, it's the first time it's ever happened to me actually, they denied my request to just put it off so that we could meet with you guys, and because they didn't think it was a big deal. So they didn't want to waste what they saw as wasting their time in bringing it back. They decided to go ahead and hear it, and they approved it because it's just a technical change. But I did call the council and ask that we stay on the agenda so we could show you what happened. This is just a plan of the property. It's a little hard to see, but I'll be happy to show it up closer than anybody wants to see it. Il Villaggio is in the smaller building, and the building with the two retail stores. If you look, when you go back, you'll see the retail stores go pretty far back. It's a long building. And so there's just a property line going down the middle. That's really all that's happening. And I'm happy to answer any questions. Oh, sure.
We'll start with council. Any members of council have any questions? Anybody? Okay, anybody? Go ahead, Victor.
I'm still curious. I was curious at the last presentation. When you said that the city treats it as one parcel, what department of the city treats it as one parcel?
That's actually a matter of general zoning law, and it's in the zoning code, the City of Boston zoning code. You look at the definition of a lot in the definition section, which is Article 2 of the Boston zoning code, and Article 2A for the neighborhood districts. The definition of a lot is a parcel of land not divided by a street in single ownership. So if you have two buildings that are separate parcels owned by, you know, John and Tom, and one of them buys the other one out, so John now owns both of them, the city now treats that as one parcel. For zoning purposes, they're merged. So if they were non-conforming, even though they were built 100 years ago, if you want to separate them again, you've created a zoning violation. It's a technicality, but that's the way zoning law works in most cities and towns, and it's built right into the Boston zoning code.
If you didn't get the variance and went to ISD for a building permit, would they insist? How would they treat it?
You mean, well, if they didn't approve it, it would stay as one parcel, and we'd have trouble. We'd have to separate it some other way.
Do they know it's one parcel?
I'm sorry?
Do they know it's one parcel?
Yeah.
They do. Okay.
Yeah?
How it, who gets the parking?
Mateo got a little. I'll show you where the lot lines are. This is the building, and this is the other building. This is all the back land. This is the only outside space that's faced with the old Bellagio. And all the parking area in the back goes with what's called Lot A, the larger parcel.
We'll keep that for reference.
That's actually my last copy, but I'll be happy to send you.
Okay, that'd be great.
You know what I'll do? I'll get it to PDF. And I'll...
Sure, perfect. Anybody else have any questions? Okay, well, once again, thank you very much for coming before us and showing that respect. I appreciate it.